government finally got their deal done, and thank Christ it was with the Greens and not with the Coalition on the Environmental Protection Biodiversity Conservation Act. The Greens did manage to win some concessions, even if they had to give up on, the big picture things like the climate trigger.
All the reporting on this suggests that the Coalition expected to do a deal with the government, but kept placing very irrational, kept changing their position up to the last minute. The big letdown of these reforms, though, however, is the lack of any provisions to deal directly with climate change, or what is known as a climate trigger, that would allow the minister to review projects on the basis of the emissions that they would cause. That said, it is good. The creation of an EPA is good. The creation of more strengthened laws is good. I do have concerns that some of this idea of the abundance agenda and kind of smoothing processes will bleed into this. So I'm very curious to see how this plays out going forward, and whether we actually do get any genuine protections for nature.
There's a lot of discretion for the minister, and I was around and reported enormously on the Juukan Gorge disaster in 2020. When it was clear that the federal minister was aware that the explosion was about to take place, and chose not to do anything. And other times when the minister in previous Conservative governments has just overrode Indigenous rights or environmental concerns to allow mining or exploration or fracking to go ahead. So giving a minister that degree of discretion is alarming in my view. So it'd be interesting to see how that works in practice.
The EPA is now going to be able to enforce, they have beefed up powers to enforce minimum national environmental standards against which development applications and the like will be judged. But all of those standards have yet to be introduced. They are all going to be added via regulation from government. So nothing else has to return to the Parliament.
It's something that, if I recall, has characterised a lot of the way the current Labor administration has conducted its business. It tends to write laws and then write regulations to backfill, which means it doesn't have to go to Parliament, which means those things aren't, contained in legislation, which means they can be changed easily in the future. And the risk of this is twofold. First off, it leads to badly drafted laws and incomplete understandings of what the law is. But also, second of all, if there is a change of government in the future, and say just hypothetically you have a Conservative government gets in and is very hostile to, in this particular case, environmental issues, they can then rewrite the regulations without having to take that to Parliament, and so there's fewer protections in there.